Typical on the pole. Bad Martin right there next to him on the outside. And we're going to boogity, boogity, boogity right here to the Ruthless Championship start. And it will only be out of 4 guys who will claim the Ruthless Championship. The Ruthless Championship 4 of Typical, Bad Martin, Dan the Man, and Hollywood, starting in that order tonight. And this lap number 1 already shifty off turn number 2 as they go down the back stretch. Nose to tail up on the high side. Dan the Man looking to make the low side work early. Hollywood probably going to go down there and tag along. Got Big Ben in the 2 there working along the high side with these other 2 guys. And there goes Dan the Man nose to nose with Typical down the front stretch. I believe Typical possibly got him there on that first lap. And here we are, Championship 4 already up here door to door with each other. So this is what we expected, and we're going to see it early.
Hollywood looking 3 wide there?
He was poking the nose out there on the outside, trying to make something of it.
Not sure if that's the right move this early in the race, but hey, if he's got it, you might as well give it a shot. Trav running the wall line back there.
Yeah, Dan the Man definitely went down on the inside. Lap number 1 is drawing it to door with Typical, and now we got Hollywood down low on that quarter panel. It's going to make Dan the Man lose a little speed, possibly force him up to
3
work.
wide.
It's going to go 3 wide, possibly. Oh, one up into the wall. We got contact. Hollywood, Dan the Man down to the inside. Hollywood spinning, but he gains control after a 360 spin up into the wall. That would certainly bring out a caution. Early on in the championship race, the championship contender hits the wall.
Good start for Typical there.
Typical off to a very great start down here in turn number 1. And that's kind of going to force the field more to a single file action this time around. Dan the Man, dangerous down on the low side. Let's see if he tries to make that work again. So more of a single file action now out of these guys as they come back around. This will be lap number 7 of 39 here in stage number 1. Typical out to the lead, but not really breaking away by any means.
No, Bad Martin hanging tough. Must have made a few adjustments, looking a little strong here.
I'm going to go ahead and get this out now. The Ruthless Racing Series will be starting up in 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to try to go through a recruiting period. Number 2 car got back into the wall back there.
I got Hollywood spinning on my screen.
Really?
It's Hollywood back spun it.
Hollywood has spun it.
Looks like he caught the apron on my screen. I'm not sure what happened.
Possibly
he was
broke
all by
loose.
himself. He was all by himself. He must have loosened the car a little bit too much. So disaster striking for the 16. We got a challenge for the lead right here on the bottom.
That's exactly right. They forced Typical to the high side, and that's going to allow the inside to open up for Martin and Dan the Man, who have kindly worked together most of the season. And now they've got Typical trapped up there on the high side where he does not like to run that 3 car. He has been running that low to high exit.
That is true. Martin and Dan seem to be working together a lot. They seem to be nose to tail when they pass you.
Yeah, I've noticed that pointed out in multiple races, that when these 2 get together and coming up behind you, you better watch out. But they do not care to leave one another. I have noticed that as well. And it seems more so that Martin leaves Dan.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate for him, I guess.
Could come into play late in this race.
That's exactly right. They got Typical trapped out there on the high side, but he is holding his own strong against the door of the 4.
I've been surprised at how well he's run up top. I assume he'd have gotten loose by now.
That's going to allow Martin to get around, complete the slide job, and is going to leave the 34 down to dry for now. Oh, it's close. Typical comes back up and closes the gap, gets back to the door of the 4 up on the high side. 34 is still pushing hard on the 4 as he's still looking for a complete retention of the lead. Typical not giving up easy up on the high side, in the lead for the moment. All alone on the bottom.
I'd like to get a hold of that setup that'll run by itself like that.
Yeah, it's awesome up there on the high side. Little close to the wall on exit that time. Way down to the inside of 34. Dan the Man. Can he draw back even? He's got it. He controlled it.
It looked like he broke way loose.
Got 2 groups of 3 here racing now. Championship 3 of the 4 racing for first place. 34 back to the inside with the 4 now.
Looked like that second group of 3 had a little bit of contact. G-Dog getting left behind a little bit in that second group of 3.
Exactly right. 4 back down on the bottom by himself. 34 just kind of working with both streams of air. Almost like he doesn't want to pick one.
Keeping it interesting for us in the booth. He's doing it for the fans.
That's right. Welcome everybody to the stream. This is the Ruthless Racing Series Championship from Homestead-Miami, right here on the Ruthless Racing YouTube channel. And joining me tonight in the booth is Anxious Yeti.
Howdy, howdy.
We are on lap 18 of 39 here, or 19 of 39 here in stage number 1. As this is your, we have 3 of your championship 4 racing for first place right here on your screen. 3, 4, and 34, all championship contenders. 16 also a contender, but has had 2 incidences early on in this race, which has found himself back in the back of this field. But plenty of time to recuperate and find his car here in rhythm later on in this race. But these guys up front
completed the pass.
Yeah, Typical is certainly back in the lead now after that pass. It has been nothing short of awesome up here up front fighting for this first position. Been door to door for at least 10 laps there amongst these 3 cars. 4 gets a little contact going into 3 and 4, and that's going to allow 34 to drop back to the inside, but just complete his pass into second place.
What is our lap count remaining in stage 1?
We have 19 laps remaining.
Right. What was that, about halfway through?
That's right.
We're going to have to talk to Typical about choosing the plainest scheme that car has for the championship race.
Right. He could at least gave us like the ice one or something.
Right. Give me something.
He's always running that damn American ethanol or whatever it is.
That's right. Maybe that's why his car's so fast. He's not running regular race fuel like everybody else.
Right. 82% ethanol.
That's right.
Dan the Man got the lead now, though. Over Typical, but he kind of botches it there on the high side. Still has the lead going down the front stretch.
Did he get a little loose there? Was he fighting the car? I don't know. He might have drove it in too deep and got a little loose on exit.
We're back to a similar or familiar sight. Oh, breaking loose for the 4. Almost lost it to the wall, but he gathers himself.
It's awfully early in the run to be breaking loose like that.
I think that might be Animal there that they're coming up on. He's going to drop low on the track.
Looks that way, yes. Looks like he's
going to allow him to
pitting.
go. Inside is the 3 on Dan the Man. And they are door to door coming through 1 and 2 this time. And Typical is going to gain the lead just for a quick moment. And Slide Job not going to be able to be complete as they're still door to door down the backstretch. Same deal going to be
able to complete it here.
Yep, same deal going to be here in 3 and 4. I don't know. I think the high side's going to reign that dominant. Once he comes out here to exit, he's not going to be clear. He touched him just a tad. Typical not clear down the front stretch. There is Dan the Man still on his door. So Slide Job tried to be complete, but not there.
Bad Martin probably enjoying this because he was starting to lose a little ground.
I think Dan the Man made a little contact there, grabbed his car, slowed him down just a tad. Breaking loose again is the 4.
He's got to be...
Crossover by the 34.
That setup's probably costing him right now. He needs to make another adjustment probably.
Multiple crossovers here in the same turn. 3 and the 34 racing like it's the last lap. There are
4?
10 remaining. He did go down the pit. I don't know if he broke loose. There could be a pit here that's due. for the rest of this
He,
stage.
he is pitting. So, just like we said, probably needing some adjustments to that thing.
That's exactly right. It is a long race. As long as you are on the lead lap, you will be good.
Hanlon was a little sloppy after a bunch of those bush apples.
I do see some other guys going into the pits, so that's possibly going to be something that everybody does. 9 laps remaining here in stage number 1. Not much time to get that pit in if you're going to have to do it. It's still pretty much nose to tail up here for the lead. Nobody looking to pit right now out of the 1 and 2 positions. Possibly just a splash and go here towards the end of this stage, but not really necessary. Points do not matter. So we'll see what happens here.
See how aggressive they get here. Looked like Dan got a little bit loose on exit there.
If anything, I'm a fan of history, and if history repeats itself like it most often does, you do not want to be somebody who has won the first 2 stages of any race in the Ruthless Racing Series, because more times than not here in the Ruthless Racing Series, there is not a race sweep. If you win the first 2 stages, your chances to win the race go down. Typical, very large issue getting into the pits. And I don't think he got in there very cleanly. So
Didn't look like it.
Yeah, good thing the issue happens now. Unfortunate it did happen to him. Here comes Dan the Man, and his certainly looked a little smoother. So we'll see how he comes back out.
So does that cycle Dunlap to the lead?
I believe Typical only took right sides. Somebody wrecked come off pit road.
That would Big Ben?
It's a possibility somebody went up on the track off pit road. I saw on Typical's stream. Dan the Man just now getting into his box. I think he just took a splash. Which
Yeah, I
Typical,
think it was Big Ben.
Typical with those right sides could possibly have the advantage on Dan the Man, as he is just now coming out. He is nearly half the track ahead of Typical, who is in 3rd position. Big Ben did have an issue coming off pit road there. We're going to get up here to Dan the Man, who is currently your leader. As you go back here and look at Bad Martin, he is still in 2nd. Typical looking to go back down to the inside to get him. Dan the Man wins stage number 1 right here in the championship race, so currently a favorite. And then Bad Martin's going to beat Typical to the line and take 2nd. So if you go by the numbers in stage number 1, Dan the Man, Bad Martin, Typical, and Hollywood is the current stat line. Bad Martin, Dan the Man on the front for stage number 2 as we go to the 2nd stage of deciding who will be a Ruthless champion. 37 laps here in stage number 2, 2 less than stage number 1, where you saw Bad Martin, Dan the Man, Bad Martin, and Typical finish 1, 2, 3. And right now you see Bad Martin try to hang on to that lead early on in this stage, as we certainly will see a pit stop here at some point, barring any cautions at the right moment. Typical has took the lead once again here from Homestead and has put Bad Martin back in 2nd. Dunlap finds himself in 3rd. Dan the Man in 4th. Hollywood back up there in 5th position. I told you once he got it straightened out, he could be back up here racing with these fellas. And there he is at 16 Chevrolet. But you got Dunlap up here in 3rd, not a championship contender. He's the first one to poke his head up into the top 3. That is not a part of the championship 4. So of the championship 4, 4 of them are in the top 5. Big Ben, Trav Nation, and G-Dog all back there in 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'm not quite sure. Possibly Animal back there in the back. Top 5 is quite grouped together. Typical leading them. Outside line led mostly by Bad Martin. Dunlap going to lead the inside line a little bit with Dan the Man on his tail. Typical trying to play both lines. Don't really know where he wants to go. Goes high, low, high again. for his strategy on these turns. So Typical been running that high-low high most of the night. Ran very well when he was forced to the high side. So we'll see. Maybe if someone was able to hold the high side against him and have him run the low side, maybe he doesn't like all the way low side. Interesting to see how somebody may race Typical later on in this race when it's coming down to deciding who gets the hardware. Dunlap is now up here racing for that lead. He is on the inside on a mission, trying to draw up to the quarter panel of the 3. Can't do it. Slides into the second position. Dan the Man going to go to inside, trying to make something work down there. Hollywood hot on his tail. Bad Martin right there as well. Gets kind of forced up with the air. And Typical still running that high-low high line. So top 5 not really breaking apart from each other much. Dunlap has came right up here to second place, and he has stayed there for now, even contending a little bit with the number 1 position. And I do think he has it in him as long as he stays consistent. And they were only 37 laps here in this stage. We'll get you a lap count as they go by this time. And this time by, there is 29 laps remaining. There will be a green flag pit stop barring a caution at the right time. Typical is leading. Dunlap not in the championship for out there in second. Oh, Dunlap breaks loose to the inside. And he certainly hit the wall. He's certainly wrecked. He is certainly up in the... Oh, multiple cars involved. That will certainly bring out a caution. On-board wreck right there for you all. So Dunlap kind of starting that one. Trav Nation involved. Game initiated caution there. Big wreck. Yep, different set from the beginning of the stage. It's Typical and Hollywood on the front side as they get going this time. I believe I heard somebody miss a shift. Somebody certainly redlined one, I heard.
I'm going to go with G-Dog, seeing as that bottom line didn't get going.
Yeah. Alright, so Typical quickly up to the high side, working with Hollywood. Dan the Man back down to the low side where he likes to draw even with Typical and run door to door. We'll see if he's able to get up there with a little push from his buddy in the 4. Oh, Dan the Man tries to sneak it up high against Hollywood. Not able to do it. Gets everybody swirly, but they line it out coming down into turn number 1. So Typical out here to the lead now, all by himself.
Might have been a little bit of contact between the second and third place car when they did that.
So we're going to go off the front of Typical here so we can kind of see everybody behind them. See how that's working out. Oh, a little bit of breaking loose back through there. Dunlap having all kinds of issues breaking loose off these corners. And that was something I did predict in the pre-race, is someone breaking loose tonight. That's what's going to cause a problem, especially off turn number 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thing just wants to turn around on you, coming off of 2.
A lot of people aren't used to this traditional oval style racing. Although they do call the more modern tracks ovals, they're not necessarily oval. They kind of just have a oval sides and bottom. Now this is a true oval track. Straight, 2 straights, and 2 tight turns.
That's right. I think we got 3 wide going on back there, maybe.
We do later, or in the further back there in the pack for about 5th position. Hollywood's running second.
It out. Hollywood switch back down to the low side. See if he can get a little momentum down there.
So good racing up here in the front part of the pack. Everybody lining back out. Possibly going to try to save a little bit. Don't know if a caution or if the caution came out at the right time. If the pit was at a good time for these guys, and I don't know if it's going to draw them to the end of the stage with 19 laps remaining. So they've probably been out here they'll be out here for about 22, 23 laps. I don't know if the cars have that in it. I'm not really familiar with what it takes out there tonight. Nobody able to defeat Typical here for the lead so far, but Hollywood and Dan the Man been working on it. And there goes Hollywood. He's going to send it in this time. Slide Job is on it. Oh, and he got put into the wall. Dunlap going to T-bone Hollywood, flip him up over on his top. And the championship race has seen a flip. And what a wreck that we have seen there. Going to be Dan the Man in the lead, though, on this restart. Certainly no pit stop now.
It was violent.
11 laps to go in stage number 2, and it's already been a dicey one. That was great.
That was wild, man.
34, Dan the Man, the leader now.
Things are getting a little wild right here.
That's right. Typical to the inside. Oh, Dan the Man did touch the wall up there. Or Bad Martin up into the wall. Bad Martin with Dunlap there.
Ooh.
So that puts Bad Martin in a bad spot.
Yeah, it does.
No pun intended. Bad spot, Martin. Making
Hollywood
moves back around.
Right back up to third.
Yeah, Hollywood.
Behind the 3. See if he does anything here. If he catches him. See what's on Hollywood's mind. Is that the 24 spinning back there?
Oh, I believe it was. I believe I missed it. Possibly.
Single car. So probably
just
not
a single
caution.
car incident. So right now.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say right now, Dan the Man looking to lose the lead from Typical as he dives it down to the inside. Door to door. A little bit of contact down the front stretch. Typical will let out a little bit, let him around. Door to door for the 34 and the 3. As we got about 7 laps remaining here in stage number 2. Oh, 17 broke loose back there, I saw. Drag racing up here between these two, though.
Yeah, it looks like we got some cars just not handling the way they should.
Oh, slide job complete by the 3. 34 bumps him, tries to go low. Not going to have the momentum. Is going to be stuck on the rear side. 6 laps remaining here in stage number 2. It is the Ruthless Racing Series Championship.
If they keep battling like this, the 4 is going to sneak through and win the stage.
That's right. Oh, broke loose by the 16. Don't know if he saved it. He certainly didn't. I hear him braking.
Oh,
Hollywood
man.
around again.
Disaster.
Absolute disastrous day.
Anything that has gone wrong for the 16 tonight.
That's right. 3's going to lose the lead again to the 34. 4 is down on the inside of the 3 now. That could spell devastation for a stage win for the 3 right here. Once again, points do not matter. Typical back in 3rd position, but looking to work on the inside of the 4 here.
Big Ben sneaking into the picture here, trying to sneak in.
So Typical making some moves, passes the 4 right there. Gets up on the high side, following the 34, who's breaking draft, I guess. Maybe broke a little loose.
Mm. 3 looks like it got tight there.
We have 3 laps remaining here in stage number 2 as Bad Martin goes back and claims second once again. Dan the Man, still your leader. He was the stage number 1 winner. Oh, Typical looking to lose another spot. Go back to 4th here. This Big Ben goes down to the inside working with Martin. You can see G-Dog chilling back there in 5th position.
Typical getting ganged up on in those Fords, man.
Yeah, those Fords are taking advantage of that poor little Chevy. So Typical has now dropped back to 4th position. Bad Martin up to 2nd. Big Ben up to 3rd. And Dan the Man with 2 laps remaining, looking to win another stage here in this championship race. It would put him as the heavy favorite, but not in terms of history, just in terms of he's won that so far.
And Typical did say he wasn't going to worry about stages until the very end.
That's exactly what he said, and that's exactly where it matters at, that last lap.
And for that matter, Hollywood has to have the same mentality at this point. I mean,
yeah,
all it takes is, a couple restarts. There's only 9 cars, so it's not that difficult to find yourself back in the lead.
That's exactly right. And this is the last lap of stage number 1. I believe that's going to allow Dan the Man to be the winner once again. So first 2 stages go to Dan the Man, and the first 2 stages both go Dan the Man, Bad Martin, and Typical. And then Hollywood somewhere way back yonder. That's exactly right. Dan the Man and Bad Martin starting out on the front. And this is the last stage of the Ruthless Racing Series Championship. Who will be the Ruthless champion? It all gets decided right here at the end of this 134 laps. 83 of 134 completed so far. Let's see who can take home the hardware and be the first Ruthless champion. Dan the Man has won both of the first 2 stages, followed by Bad Martin being in 2nd. Typical can't seem to find the late run speed. Will he find it here in stage number 3? Hollywood having a terrible, terrible night, but can turn it all around here where it makes a difference. The last lap is the only one that counts to find your glory. So let's see where it all concludes right here at Homestead-Miami between the turquoise walls.
The turquoise. Big Ben wisely lets the 3 go.
That is right. He's let the 3 back up there into familiar order. Hollywood chilling right there in 5th position. And if I'm Hollywood, I don't try to be aggressive at all. I just try to race this car and keep it up there with them, and then maybe try to feel out any issues that it has for my pit stop here.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to put it, but it doesn't look like he's taking your advice. He's passing this 2. He's not wasting any time. Getting right to the bumper of the 3.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed my little championship speech. This is where it all comes to an end. One of these 4 guys who are in the top 4 right now will be a Ruthless champion.
We got 3 wide for the lead almost? No. Yes? No? Maybe?
It's looking that way. It's trying to get that way. It won't get that way, it seems. This championship race has had everything. Door-to-door racing, action-packed, wrecks, flips, anything that you can imagine. Typical may stretch it another lap. Not sure. Nope, he's going to try to bring it in here. Dan the Man, though. Oh! Thinks about it at the last second. Gets it in there. Don't know what he done. Don't know how he done that.
I don't know how he did that.
Me either.
How many laps to go, someone is asking.
There's about 27 to go. 26, 27 to go. That's a rough estimate there, but that's about accurate.
So with all 3 of these guys pitting now and Hollywood being on a different schedule, it should be interesting to see, because Hollywood should come out in front of them now.
We are watching this battle off pit road. Dan the Man. It's going to be Typical. Bad Martin. Dan the Man come out. Hollywood is already out there, and you'll see him right here off the rear view of Typical right now. Hollywood is going to have some speed, but he's not going to be right there, I don't think. He's going to come around Dan the Man right here. We're going to get on board with Hollywood. He's got momentum, certainly. He's not going to have as fresh of tires as these guys, but he has certainly gave himself a heck of a fighting chance. Awesome pit stops there by our Championship 4. Got them all together up here up front, racing for the final 23 laps remaining. 23 laps to decide who will be the Ruthless champion. That did give Hollywood a little bit of time gain there. Hopefully the tires will hold up here for the later part of this race. Still a lot of laps remaining nonetheless. But interesting, with just 22 at the line to go. This is your Championship 4, all door to door right now up here for it all at Homestead-Miami.
That's right, Stu. We couldn't ask for a better setup for the finish of this race. Got our Championship 4, as they have been most of the season, running up front. Oh, 4-car into the wall. Was able to regain it. See what they can do here. I'd like to see these guys kind of work together and catch up to the 3 and see if they can't get up to the lead, but looks like the 4 has other plans.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away there. Typical has jumped out to a little bit of a lead. It's got these other guys fighting each other. Hollywood looking to make moves here. Late run car possibly here for the 16. Little bumping action there as we look off the nose of the 4-car here. Outside line is dominant, as we mentioned earlier, on the grip. Hollywood trying to work that inside. Hollywood down there on that transition change in that corner. Hollywood's going to try to sneak it up there. Oh, gets clipped by the 34. He's trying to gain control as they go down into 3 and 4. 16's got it. What a badass angle that was.
Been some wild racing, but the 3's walking away.
Yeah, the 3's looking to punch himself as the first Ruthless champion here. As he is just about 1.8 seconds ahead of the second place driver in Dan the Man. If these 3 get linked up and work together, there is still time for them to catch Typical. They have to stop battling each other, though. And there we go. That will be your Ruthless winner and champion, Typical in the 3-car, as he will come back around to get his victory burnout. He is the race winner and your Ruthless Racing Series champion.